Now, if we go back to the preparation of the earth, the gold that I wear on my finger took trillions and billions of years to form. Were the biggest explosions in the universe. These elements were formed. They say that fluoride, which you brush your teeth with every morning, it takes an explosion of a white dwarf to form fluoride. Now, the science that goes into that, the maths, I don't know how to explain this. When you go to school, you've got to learn, the first thing you learn is 1 and 1 is 2. So when you leave matric, 1 and 1 is still 2, but you have progressed. But if you go for grade 12 and you take all the math you learn in grade 12, it's nothing compared to what the scientist does. But 1 and 1 is still 2 if you're a professor in a university and if you're a student in grade 0. 1 and 1 is 2. But everything that you can learn about math on earth is like Mickey Mouse stuff compared to what God had done. He made science, he made math. Now we want to understand it with our minds, and this is where Christianity has missed it, because we want to read the book of Genesis with a natural mind. He says, in the beginning there was God, and God created the heaven and the earth. But for the earth to be created, guys, there had to be fluoride. There had to be gold. There had to be iron. All these things that we just use, you know. It took amazing temperatures, maths, science, to get it there. And God just said, this is what I want. Who is this God we serve? So God had a plan and a purpose for creation. And all purpose that the Word reveals to us is that darkness will never overshadow light. He prepared the whole earth to put man on the earth. And it took ages and ages and generations. There are things scientists only now discover. Listen, if you think you know everything, and you think you're very smart because you've got a smart car, there's nothing wrong with having a smart car. But if it changes your mind and it messes your mind, there is something wrong. So the minute you think you're very big, don't you want to just go study astronomy a little? Then you'll realize that you're actually nothing. But it takes us 300 million light years to go around our path to get to the same place again. It's like we think we're something. If you only look at the size, okay, forget the outer space. Just go look at the sun. 1,000 Earths can go into the sun. You thought the earth is big. No wonder David had this enthusiasm of the Spirit where he says, what is man that you are mindful of him? To think all this was prepared for us, to have a place where we can stay. He calls the earth the habitable earth. Oh, I love science. If we were a little closer to the sun, we would have burned up. If we were a little further away, we would be frozen. There is an exact place where we are orbiting. God made the sun for the earth. If you just read it in Genesis, what is so awesome that God came to work in this time, and what he did is he prepared the earth for man. This is amazing. Day 1, he divided the realms, light and darkness. Day 2, he divided the waters. Now, these are all principles that's going to work in time, because when God created everything, everything was perfect in rest. He never created anything in darkness. He wanted man to live eternal, because in that realm he placed a tree of life, and if they eat of it, they will live forever. Remember, when they left the garden, that tree was blocked, because God doesn't want us to live in darkness. Creation is to bring light into darkness. The first thing, there was darkness, and God divided light and darkness. Then he divided waters and waters. Then he divided land and sea. And then he created vegetation on that. And the 4th day, he made time. So that was all preparation. Now, the closest we can understand spiritual time is as one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. But there's also a principle of 70 times 7. Now, 70 times 7 can be a day for God. So there is no one, not in science and not Christianity, no one can clearly tell you how long this preparation was. But for God, it was 4 days. But our time would only start when time started, and that was day 4. Now, it is so amazing that it was light, water, land, and light. And then water was filled, land was filled, and it was light. So it's patterns. Now, that tells you that Genesis 1 has commands, judgments, laws, precepts. It's all patterns that's going to work out in time. So what God did there, He prepared everything for man. And He put man there. And when man messed up the garden, this preparation pattern kicked in again. And you can literally say the flood was day 1. The calling of Abraham was day 2. The calling of David was day 3. And Christ was day 4. So if you read it back, the seed, remember this was a battle for